welcome to our new webinar. And in this webinar, we are going to talk about teaching robotics curriculum at high schools. And where we will have a special guest, Katie Sandling. She's a physics teacher and robotics coach in Rye Country Day School. Katie, you're so welcome. And my name is Bashar. I am the founder and CEO of Riders. I will just go through a summary of Riders platform in short. And once again, you are very welcome. So the agenda of today's webinar is again, for those who are very new to Riders, I will give you a short explanation of what is Riders and what does Riders offer in the first place. And afterwards, we're going to have a discussion with Katie Sandling about the Rye Country Day School and their experience by using the Riders platform, and the webinar with our ambassador program, and give some details about that. So first of all, Katie Sandling is the physics teacher and robotics club coach in the Rye Country Day School, which is one of the finest high schools in United States. And she's very welcome here. And we're going to have a discussion with her about how to use Riders and in high schools, and what is her teaching experience, and what's the experience of the students in terms of robotics and programming. So I would like to give a short story of Riders. So first of all, I would like to mention that we are a company called Acrom, and the name of Acrom is coming from accessible robotics and mechatronics. So our vision is to make robotics education more accessible. And while speaking about robotics is the field which is an interdisciplinary area. So learning the STEM skills through robotics is the best way so far. So for this reason, robotics has a crucial role in today's education. So with that vision, we have found our company, Acrom, by trying robotics education more accessible. And we started with some hardware systems where we have robotic arms, parallel kinematic systems, automatic control experiments, and so on. And they are used right now widely throughout the world. We have institutions, universities, and high schools over 26 countries right now using our platforms. But it is still not enough, because hardware systems are, from cost perspective, from maintaining perspective, from usage perspective, they are difficult. They are not easy. And for this reason, we need to have something which is more accessible in terms of expenses, in terms of usage, in terms of accessibility. So that, for this reason, we have developed the Riders platform. The name of the Riders is coming from robotics, R, and the IDE. So we offer an integrated development environment for robotics, and we call the users, who we call people who benefit from from this IDE, Riders. So basically, it's a community-based platform. So in Riders, we try to make robotics education more accessible, and we try to align with the new paradigm in education, which is shifting from lecturing to project-based learning, where you try to accomplish an application, where you try to realize something, and where you try to compete with others. Competition is also one of the most important key components right now in education, because it gives you the opportunity to do something in the real life, applicable to real life. And right now, the spectrum of STEM is covering now more advanced studies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, and so on. And these are it is highly difficult to do all this with the hardware. So for this reason, Riders offers you a platform where you have courses, where you have projects, where you have competitions. We offer you to connect with people, to collaborate with them in projects, to attend to courses which has been developed by teachers and so on. And we offer you to attend to competitions, and you get scores, and there are leaderboards in our competitions. And you once you win, for example, one of our competitions, then you get also some certain prizes. So in that sense, riders try to make a worldwide robotics community with a low-cost solution for robotics education. And we are trying to open the doors of robotics education in terms of, we are trying to provide you internship opportunities. We are trying to offer you scholarship opportunities, and we are trying to offer you advanced courses where you can really improve your skill set. And for teachers, we offer also transparent data for their students, and they can track the progress of their students. And one of the most important thing is Riders is available from anywhere. What you need is only a PC, a laptop, and then an internet connection. It works on your web browser, and you don't need any requirements in terms of CPU, RAM, storage. Everything is stored in the cloud, and everything is saved there, and you can also save your progress, save your data, and then reopen it again. So Riders is a sophisticated platform. It's based on a robot operating system as an infrastructure, which is right now widely used in academy, in industry, and it is the most popular platform for robotics right now. And thanks to the features of ROS, we are able to provide you the simulation, the coding interface, and everything. And so that you can really feel like you have your robot have the sensors. You can read that sensor data, and you can use it, and then you can move your robot, and for example, so on. And you can program it over C++ or Python. And as stated, you can open from any browser like Chrome or Safari for Apple or Firefox. And it is the IDE itself is also configurable. I would like to invite now Katie to the stage. Hi, Katie, in the first place. Very nice to have you here. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you for the product for certain.
Thank you so much. I'm going to ask also questions about your experience and so on. So the schools are right now open, and the semester continues, right, in US?
Yeah. So I'll give a little context of where we've been at this school year, and where, because I know it's variable. Even some of our neighbor schools are in different positions than we are. So Rye Country Day, we started the year 50% on campus and 50% remote. And we've been offering the engineering robotics class for a while, which has been centered around giving students time to work on VEX competition work. But that just was not at all possible this year because it's all hardware and with some coding, but the competition is all hardware. And there's been a lot of different products out for VEX. And over the years, we've had a lot of students who have grown adept at building hardware, but we've not been successful at using robotics to teach programming before. Right. And so Max reached out to us and showed us a product, and we're very interested because not only was building up coding skills one of our long-term goals for our robotics program, was to help build up the programming and competence and confidence in the students, especially younger students. It also fit perfectly with COVID, in that it gave us something to do. It gave me some tasks to assign to the remote students that felt productive and rewarding.
Right. So basically what I understand here, teaching programming with hardware is something not that easy. Is that correct?
I would personally say no, it's not that easy, only because learning both of them simultaneously can feel overwhelming.
Right.
I think most learning hardware by itself is not necessarily that challenging in that you start out with a kit, but once you really get into it, it can be overwhelming in how much you realize, oh, friction's a problem. And every little design decision, if a student does not have experience with engineering and experience with the design process and how to iterate, it can be very overwhelming and be very frustrating
Right.
because things go wrong. And
Yes.
our school system, our whole country school system is not, we don't have a history of training students up in the engineering design process. Certainly there are schools that have done that well, but it's something that a lot of schools are latching onto now.
Mhm.
So the students I see in high school haven't necessarily ever seen what goes wrong and know necessarily how to respond in productive ways. So this is a time for them to practice it. But I needed something that was a little more intermediary. Our school does have a robust computer science department. And this current ninth grade is the first grade that's having a computer science requirement for graduation. So eventually everyone's base level skills for programming will be up there, but it's only a semester requirement. And so actually this semester, all of my students have already taken intro to computer science, but there was still much for them to learn and practice with through riders as well. So it didn't feel too easy for them. It still felt challenging and improved their competency.
Right. Oh, thanks so much for that information. So what I also experienced in the past is, so hardware is something great. So you need to learn and you need to experience the real life problems. But when it comes to learning basics, hardware can punish you a little hard because there are really problems that you may not solve just in the beginning, just because of the friction, as you described, or you just couldn't plug that connector in the right way. And then you try to understand what's going wrong. And yeah, so for this reason, learning programming in the software world may help the beginners in the first place a lot. Is that correct?
Yes, it definitely made them feel like they had skills
Right.
that were applicable. And now that our school is transitioning into having more students on campus, and we've found some ways to safely do a little bit of hardware, them already understanding how to program things makes it that much more satisfying when they actually have built a driving base that they already know how to program, because they can program in Python in the program that we found. And it was all things that they already practiced in riders.
Right.
So they know it's easier for them to see the end product even when they're halfway.
So basically, what you mentioned as a confidence, I think that's a very important word, because once you gain the confidence and then you jump into hardware, then you can understand what's going wrong and you can check your code. No, I wrote it, I implemented it in the right way, and there has to the problem has to be, for example, in the connector or something else. And I think that's the important point.
Yeah. Yep. I 100% agree.
So I would like to ask now about your experience while teaching with Riders platform and the lessons and the courses and so on. Can you give us a little more detail about?
Yes. So what I liked about Riders immediately was the fact that the courses were already pre-written. And it was very clear to me that they were written by educators.
Right.
Because what's the point of having an educator write it? It's someone who has practiced at understanding what are the pitfalls students are going to come across and in what order do they need to be exposed to different things. Yes, there are self-starter programmers out there, but the average student is not necessarily that case, especially those who might have only taken a little bit of computer science. They don't necessarily know where to start. So the lessons were extremely organized, and pretty much exactly how I would have written them if I had to start from scratch, but luckily I didn't. Um, and like starting with making sure the students know how to navigate things, but then also refreshing their knowledge of, okay, this is a for loop, this is a while loop, very basic computer science things you need to know and feel competent in before you can graduate to anything beyond. Um, and the tasks felt accessible, and having how they're designed with the real live feedback, and the students able to watch them operate and watching like the little dashboards at the bottom of um, getting the feedback from the robot on how things were moving was, if there was a bug, I'd be teaching them how to use those things to debug,
Right.
one thing at a time.
Right. So would like to ask in that sense, how was the experience of the students itself? So the first question is, were they very new to programming, or did they have some experience for programming before starting to this course?
So I've had two groups of students this year that I've used Riders with. One was my first semester class, and then now my second semester class. My first semester class, it was all over the board. Some students had taken AP Computer Science, other had only taken Intro to Computer Science years ago, and someone else had only taken computer science in middle school years ago. and also, even amongst all those, their confidence ranges were all over the board. Some were really confident, and some were a lot less confident and really hesitant about anything programming. And what I liked about how all the lessons were and courses were organized is it was really easy for individual students to at least get basic ideas down first, so that feel like they didn't need to run straight to me for questions. Right. They could figure things out independently. And then once they got deeper into the course challenge, when it was time appropriate for them to talk to me or talk to someone else, they could have productive conversations because they understood what was going on. It was not beyond their ability. It wasn't too large of a jump. Everything was nicely scaffolded, so it was possible for them to also help each other that way. And I liked that mix of how students could work independently, which especially was important for some of our students who were remote and maybe had iffy Wi-Fi connections during class. They could always, like at another time, work independently, not during class while they were only logged into Riders and not also logged into Zoom and all their other Google tabs for all their other classes. They were able to feel productive and get things done, and then compare things with other peers. And so it was, in that sense, for the pandemic, it was absolutely perfect. And even in outside of the class context, one of our issues with our robotics team, which is outside of the class, is that it's really hard to find a meeting time because a lot of our students are extremely busy. And that's what I like about the Riders courses, is that I feel comfortable giving the content to them and knowing that they won't get scared and never come to me again. That they will feel good about it and feel like, okay, now I can come back and feel like I have some understanding of certain things that are going to help me be productive to the team, and then building towards the competition there.
Excellent. I was going to ask about the competition. How was the experience of the students? Did they like the competition and so on? Before asking this, that's correct, but this course content have been developed by teachers, and the motivation behind was, even it is starting with very simple aspects, like, for example, the first lesson, a Scout Rider, you just give instructions, but it is so designed that even a very good in algorithm development person can be hard for those people to solve the whole puzzle, because it has some open-ended questions as well in some of the lessons, for example.
And that did happen to our student who had completed AP Computer Science also, like the A-star question. Yeah. He was like, oh, wait a minute. Like he recognized it, but couldn't remember how to do it. So I had to like rederive what was going on, and then excellent. Was able to explain it. Right. And then I was able to say, hey, you only know this when you can explain it to your peers. So then, like, I know I said I liked that I could assign individual work, but I did run the class where I paired people up who I realized were working at approximately the same pace, and they were able to talk to each other very, very naturally. I barely had to initiate that, which was really, really nice when they're so separate during a pandemic, especially.
Right. So they had a competition as well, as far as I remember, right? At the end of the course, together?
Yes, we did an in-house line follower competition.
Right.
And that, yeah, it was nice to have a competition again, just because all their sports have been canceled, and that's usually where they compete.
Yeah.
And yeah, and this was a nice way to have them give them something to build towards,
Right.
and iterate through without obsessively doing so, but to tweak things and look at a bunch of different edge cases as well. Because the line follower challenge had a slightly sharper turns
Right.
than
Then this one, for
than
example.
the course did, and they were like, "Oh, whoops, gotta think about this." So that made them feel good, and it made them feel accomplished.
Perfect. Very nice to hear that. And we are also now releasing and developing new types of competition where we are really mixing, for example, line following with wall following, and then maze solving, etc. All will be also available to you and teachers, and we can organize new competitions for your students, for your class, and we will be very happy about that. So I'm showing here some scenario and the projects. And another question is, have you been able to track their progress? So could you understand from the courses where they stuck and how did they solve and etc. So, and we were, I don't know if that's something you have been using, but we are also providing now course management tool where you can see who finished what and how many hours did they spend and so on.
Yes. So I would get minute reports from Max and Oslam. And because I think this was like still either a little bit in development or I forgot to check them. So that would be on me. But I do recognize this. And yes, very helpful. I think so for me personally, because I had so few students in class, it was easier for me to like see them and have them share their screen with me and see directly what their code was. But certainly if I had had more students in the class,
Right.
this would have been extremely helpful for keeping students accountable with doing work.
Yeah.
And there were some times where I could see, okay, the students said they would work on this outside of class and they didn't. So I could follow up that way. And yes, like knowing that you're working on this as well. And like it can be integrated into G Classroom, Google Classroom, and Blackboard. Like,
yeah,
that would be great. You say more about that.
One of the questions I wanted to ask, do you use G Classroom or Blackboard?
So our school is in the middle of figuring out what learning management system we're going to use next year. And those are possibilities. We're changing it up because what we're currently using is getting discontinued. So I don't know exactly what we'll be using next year, but I know a lot of other schools use both of those.
Yes, correct.
Yes.
So we are providing it so it can be integrated to G Classroom so that you can also get all the data of the students to your learning management system. And this is once you decide which platform you choose, please let us know so that we can provide you the integration.
That'd be great.
That would be super helpful. So one last question I would like to ask to you. It's related with the future. So what would be your future expectations? What would be from your end a feature which would be the best for writers to develop and integrate and so on? What type of opportunity or feature? Yeah, feature is the best word for that.
So first of all, I do plan on having us use Riders as it is even post-pandemic because it allows students to work individually, plus I can help them out. And because I think it's so well organized and so good at getting that base level of confidence in the students. The next thing, if there were a way for students to if there were a way to have multiple robots on the same board simultaneously. I'm just thinking
Right.
like they have driver control and it's multiple robots competing against other ones in the same field. But I
Right.
think that's a computer science problem that might not be here. That's a
You're
question that might not be possible yet.
very, very glad to hear that. No, it's not correct. We are releasing the multiplayer feature in the upcoming months. So it will be fully released, I'm pretty sure, until the end of June, and will be ready for the next semester, definitely. And
Yay.
we have done all the tests. So basically, the competitions will not be only line follower or the others, but there will be sumo competitions. So
That's great. I'm excited.
yeah,
I'll tell the kids.
So this will be there. And one of the, even you can control the robots with the gamepad actually, but we are going to release that with some features. But we are right now pushing the programming side. No, don't play with the gamepad. Try to develop algorithms. But there will be multiplayer competitions, and there will be tournaments, so head-to-head competitions where you just race against your opponent. It will be something. We are also very, very excited about that. So very glad to hear that, and glad to mention it to you right now. And I will maybe we can do a pilot competition with your students, and they can be very excited about that too.
And I will emphasize for anyone else listening, like Riders has been very quick to respond and like very receptive to any feedback. Like this is like, you've been asking all the right questions and very receptive to any questions I had. So thank you.
Thank you so much for that. We try our best to support you, and I hope it's a nice experience from your end. That's great. So thank you so much, Katie, for being here and telling all those valuable information, and which is very helpful for people right now who's trying to decide whether to use riders or not. That was definitely great for them and for us. And thank you being here. I hope to see you in the next webinars. Maybe we can host together a competition live with your students here while watching they compete against each other with a sumo and so on.
Yes, that'd be a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So would like to mention about the final things where we are providing right now a competition league, which is called Riders League. And we have two categories right now. One of them is the line follower league, and the other one is the drone flying league. And every month we release a very brand new competition for you with some new features where you need to develop new types of algorithms and so on. If you sign up to Riders platform, and once you sign up, you can see on the top right a league section. And once you click the league, you can get into the line follower and the drone flying categories. And every month we provide these competitions, and these competitions have also prizes for the winners. So for the March competitions, we had a prize for the winner, an Amazon gift card for both of the sections, for both of the categories. And in April, we're going to have also another reward, another prize. So please check Riders League. Once you sign up, it's on the top right. So we are providing also competitions for your school, for your organization. We held in May, in October, and in December in 2020 competitions. And there were many contestants from all around the world, and they had a great experience. We can organize for you a competition, for example, internally just for your classroom, and it is a private competition. Only people from your class, for example, only students from your class can attend to that competition and can have the experience together. And would like to also mention that Riders is we are happy to say that Riders is a growing startup. So this is the trend since the March 20, actually, where we have released for the first time, and we have now over 2,800 users right now, and more than 20 countries people are using Riders at the moment. And we have great customers and partners together, and we are working closely together with them, and we are happy to collaborate with them. And if you are also in the decision, please contact us. We can also share all the references and all case studies with you. So while trying to grow, we need definitely help. So we are looking for teachers and academics work with us in the Writers Ambassador program. If you want to be a part of this program, then the following things we can offer to you. We offer you training. So we train you for the whole platform, how to use it, and what is the best methodology to teach, and so on. And then we offer you to have some commission and promotion to be part of our program. So here are listed the special perks of being an ambassador of Riders, and these are all possibilities. So please contact us through either riders.ai.about and through our social media links and social media connections. And please also follow us and stay connected while subscribing to our social media channels. So would like to thank you once again for attending to our webinar. I hope you enjoyed our webinar, and see you in our next one. Thank you so much.